On today's episode, we discuss
Penroy.
and a bukkake of bad Maine accents. All of that and much, much more on today's Murder We Spoke. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This time we will be covering Season 5, Episode 3, Living in Season 5, Loving Season 5.
Love Season 5.
This one entitled Mr. Penroy's Vacation.
Which was amazing. Every time I come on here, because it feels so long since I've watched an episode, it just is like the best one I've seen.
Honestly, you guys, we've moved to a monthly schedule. First Friday of every month, we're dropping an episode. And it is like... Because, like, after about, like, a week or two, like, you're really like, oh, I can't wait to watch Murder. Like, it's the perfect schedule, and you watch it, and it's just so lovely.
Like, warm and fuzzy, and just...
It's so good. And everybody should literally have listeners like we have, not to brag, that are telling us the best episodes, because literally, it's just been so good. We don't have to... It's not hit or miss. It is hit.
Exactly. All viewer recommendations.
So, yeah, speaking of which, at Kimberly80 and at... on MSW recommended this episode, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Again, just keep the recommendations coming, you guys, because it's been so good. We've
been doing a lot of Season 5, but we love all seasons. Anything with Jessica.
We're getting out of Season 5 next week. We're just going to Season 6.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, we're not going far. We're still staying within the realm.
Perfect.
But, Season 5, I feel like we're going to end up covering this whole season because it's gold.
Oh, yeah. What's the next episode we're going to be doing?
We'll get there because it might be part of the game.
What? Plot twist. Okay.
This was, again, titled Mr. Penroy's Vacation, and it originally aired on November 6th, 1988. By the way, I'm Ben.
I'm Marissa.
Just in case, because we never introduce ourselves.
No, we're just...
It doesn't... We're all just here to talk about J.B. Fletch. It doesn't matter what our names are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unimportant. Just a couple quick things. Joel B. New, our good friend who has been doing the Cabot Cove EP and has been dropping new songs.
Yes.
Since our last episode, 2 more have come out. You can go to joelbnew.com. Joel, B as in boy, N-E-W.com. And you'll find all the stuff there. And you can even find him. He plays them on his podcast, which is called Something New. It's a musical theater podcast, which is actually really very good.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a fan of musical theater, I've still listened to a couple episodes, and it's very good. 2 more songs have come out: Murder in a Minor Key and The Dead Must Sing. And they're serious, like both amazing. Again, when the On Broadway station comes on our Sirius radio at work, it's a struggle. It's horrible. I hate it. But these, we
need to slip this in.
Somehow. If only these songs would play on that station, because that station is, boy.
Right.
So, you guys go check those out, because seriously, these 2, each one is better than last, and these 2 are phenomenal. Let's see. And then you can help the show in 2 ways if you like the show. You can leave us a good review, like Hectic Diva did.
First of all, that name is amazing.
Hectic Diva is great. That should be a podcast.
Yeah.
Hectic Diva is a great name. That's a TV show. I watch a TV show called Hectic Diva.
And, yeah, exactly.
And she said, this podcast confirms the basic facts of life. If you're over 25, you not only watch Murder, She Wrote, you love Murder, She Wrote. So what would not do to have some boring podcast? Jessica Fletcher deserves better. And these hosts bring it. It's fun. It's campy. It's all Cabot Cove, peeps.
Can we, I need that framed.
Legit.
That was amazing. Thank you. God.
The sweetest, so that's...
Okay, that's going on my tombstone. So
thanks, Hectic Diva.
Thanks, girl.
We have our epitaph already now.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, so go leave us a good review.
You might make the tombstone.
You might make the tombstone. We'll definitely read it on the podcast.
Def.
It helps people find us. So please do us a fave. We're just going to ask for favors right out of the gate. And one more way you can help, you can go to our website, prettylittlepodcasters.com. You can donate through there, or you can go, there's a link to our store in Redbubble.
Which I know I'm a little biased, but fucking killing it.
It's, you guys like the JB Fletch merch is doing really well. Like, you guys are buying it. It's like someone bought a laptop screen. I want to see what that looks like. Yeah. That's probably going to look amazing.
Please send us your pictures of whatever, even if it's your boxers.
Even if it's your whatever. Some coffee mugs have gone out. Like, you guys are, like, some notebooks. Like, you guys, like,
it's all looking really clean, too. Like, I cannot thank Redbubble enough for how their merchandise comes out.
It's amazing. And be sure to follow us at Murder We Spoke on Twitter. Or on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page. And anytime there's a sale, we'll post the code. Because on Leap Day, there was 29% off.
And it feels like they have discounts actually a lot. So we're constantly putting them out.
I feel like twice a month at least they have like 20% off.
Right.
Like any kind of special day. Because it was like, yeah. So there's plenty of opportunity. Plus we chose the lowest margin that we get back because we're
very selfless like that.
Yeah. We're not making money off this. We're just trying to keep the lights on. So it's already cheap plus like a third off. Like, and you can have like a great JB Fletcher shirt or...
A win-win, honestly.
Yeah. I seriously want to see what that laptop screen looks like. I think it's going to look great. I want like one of those little pouch. There's so much good stuff on there. I
know. That's why I have to like phase it out. I'm like, okay, I first start with my mug, and then I have a sticker. We'll keep going.
We'll keep going. Like, yeah, I have a mug. Although I gave it to... we were going to have Mike Schmidt on this podcast. We had him on the Cinematic Defenders podcast, which was released as a bonus episode. Hope you guys liked it.
Yeah. Amazing, obviously.
But I gave that mug to Mike Schmidt. So
selfless again.
Great,
yeah.
But it looked great.
Yeah, so. I get compliments on my travel mug.
Okay. So yeah. So those are the ways. Help the store. You guys are great. Keep it up.
We love you.
This is so much fun. And again, I will say, just to kiss our listeners' ass a little bit more, our other podcast, Pretty Little Podcasters, the demo of that show is younger, like millennial type, and like cannot take a joke. Like God bless them. Like they're. No. But like on Twitter and stuff, like they're horrible. Like the people that I interact with on the reg on Twitter for Murder We Spoke, like you guys are fun. You're funny.
Amazing.
You're engaging. It's so like there's a Julia, Rachel. Like there's all this recurring cast of people who are so much fun to talk to. Yeah. About Murder She Wrote, and I can't get enough.
They're not trying to pick fights for no reason because you have a comment on a character.
Yeah,
that's
and if you make a little joke about Jessica, like they don't fly off the handle. Like it's basically I'm saying I like dealing with grown-ups. That's basically that's the theme.
You guys are great, and we love you. Thank you.
Again, follow us on Murder We Spoke at Murder We Spoke on Twitter. So much fun over there. Like you guys again, like just super engaging, super fun. This is why we'll keep doing this.
Yeah,
so,
you're the best.
So thank you. Before we get going, when I watched this episode, like literally I was struck by how many times they said the name Penroy.
Exactly.
Usually I watch the episode once. If it's like super confusing or whatever, I'll try and go back through again if the episode is that much smarter than me. But usually I just try to watch it once. I just want to like take it in. I don't want it to feel like homework where I have to watch the episode multiple times.
Yeah, because it's just Jessica
It's just JB. We're just having fun, chatting a little. So, but this one I literally had to go back for the single purpose of counting the number of times they said the name Penroy.
Okay.
Because again, we were even talking about it like on the way over here. We couldn't stop. Like they're his friends. They're going to his birthday party.
They're buying him gifts, which
they're buying
him gifts for really anyone.
Nobody. Like he's living in the house of these two older ladies. No one
even they refer to him as
no one calls him Morris or Maury.
And it's such
Mr.
a small
Penroy.
Little town. Like they call Jessica.
Jessica. They called the sheriff Amos.
Yeah.
Who we'll get to.
Yeah. Okay.
Hashtag never forget poor Amos.
Amos
he didn't die. I don't know why we're
it was probably like a great career move for him.
Retired and he's fine. It's okay. I don't know if it's really.
RIP from the show.
Yeah, he left the show to go get his own series. He's okay.
Yeah.
We're not worried about Amos.
No.
So, but anyway, like the amount of first name, like even Dr. Seth. Hey Seth. They don't call him.
Exactly.
Like if you just meet him like Dr. Hazlitt or whatever, but it's so informal unless it's Mr. Penroy.
Right. So it like stuck out like
a sore thumb, and so every time they'd be like, well, Mr. Penroy wasn't here. Like,
well, hello, Mr. Penroy.
For whatever reason, it struck me. So I just wanted, I gave Marissa a heads up. I was like, just kind of keep it in the back of your head. Like, pay attention, because I'm going to make you guess how many times they said Penroy.
Yeah, but there's no way you could, I mean, you like specifically counted. I was just
literally
like
went
noticing
back,
it more.
I went back, watched this episode a second time for the sole purpose of counting the Penroys.
Okay, so I'm going to go with...
It's a 47-minute episode.
I want to say
how many times
28.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, like, you're, like, way off. I did
By
the
how
little,
much?
I did the little tick marks. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the number of ticks.
Wait, can I? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Sorry, 63.
63 times in 47 minutes they said Penroy.
I almost said 30, and I was like, no, it's 47 minutes. That'd be way too much. Dropped it down.
It's more than once a minute.
You're like Sarah
Way
Harvey.
more than once a minute. I'll post a picture of this, because it is really hilarious. They've said it 63 times.
So, more than once a minute?
Yeah, way more. I feel like I might have missed some, too.
I was watching it, I was like, there's no way Ben can keep... Like,
I went back because literally I had to go back, and I was like, because I'd get distracted with something else, so I'd actually like get into the episode again.
Right.
Like, especially whenever those sisters were on, I was like, this is great, loving this, and I'd kind of lose myself, and then I'd hear them say Penroy 3 times in a row, and I'd be like, oh wait, no, I missed. How many did I miss? So if I went back and watched this a third time and counted, I'd get a different number, probably a higher number.
That is insane.
So I just love.
It was fantastic. It's a great name,
Mr. Penroy.
Penroy.
Are you registered to vote, Mr. Penroy? Oh, we gotta get.
Okay, yeah.
We gotta get into the accents. Do you want to do? Whose turn is it for the 20-second recap?
Yours.
I think you're right. I'm so bad at these. I do not look forward to doing them.
I can do it if you want.
No, I'll do it. It's my turn. I'll take that bullet for the team. Let me just get let me cue up the old stopwatch here. Okay. Reset it from our Pretty Little Liars podcast where we're not talking about this shit for more than 30 minutes. Absolutely.
Bye, guys. Yeah, no.
We want to talk about Murder She Wrote. Like, we'll talk about Pretty Little Liars for 30 minutes, be done.
Just so we could get to the
We need some JB
dessert,
Fletch.
yeah.
We need some JB Fletch in our lives. Okay. All right.
1, 2.
Mr. I don't even know. Penroy lives with old spinsters. He dies. They keep burying people. Turns out, railroad heist. No, it is not 1896. It is 1986. Penroy and 3 other dudes were in on a heist, and the wife, out of nowhere, ends up being the murderer. Oh! I don't think I quite... I got to who the murderer was, but I don't think I quite encompassed the whole...
I feel like if you didn't start off with...
Again, I panic. I'm no good under pressure. This is why I'm not a good sports ball player. Because
A sports ball player?
Yeah, I can't play the sports ball. I'm horrible at sports ball.
And if you didn't know Ben was gay, do now. The sports ball. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's why, because even describing an episode of Murder, She Wrote, I get all flustered and I panic.
That's amazing. But I mean, pretty good. Improvement from
and
2 months ago when you did it.
Oh boy, I am getting better, slowly but surely.
Yeah, okay.
In my defense, this was a fairly complicated episode.
It was.
But I will say, at first, when I first started watching it, because I don't think we've ever met as many characters in such a short amount of time as we did in the first 10 minutes of this episode.
No, but what I liked were they were all different looking characters. Like, so drastically different.
That's true, because a lot of times there can be, like, especially, like, that 80s woman with, like, kind of short, blonde, like, slightly curly hair.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of that where it's like, was that the same woman? Especially in the pilot. If you went back to the pilot where they dressed everybody in red satin, and they all cast actresses who all looked identical to one another. Because
they're all, like, old white people.
Yeah.
So like, they're hard to tell. And they all have old people names that you're like, I mean, I had a friend. Yeah, exactly.
But this one.
Okay, there was, like, a dude in a vest, like a jean vest with, like, little biker glasses.
Who, like, I swear to God, they gave, like, the switchblade he used, they showed him how to use it the second before they turned on the camera, because he really didn't know what to do with it, and the way he was holding it, it's like...
That is like a Cabot Cove bad guy right
That is
there.
a Cabot Cove. Like, only in Cabot Cove is that dude threatening.
God, and it was so funny. It was like straight... It was comical. It was great.
And he did a lot of pointing in his acting.
Yeah, and a lot of
you don't want to do that, Mr. Penroy.
And like that weird smile, like that was supposed to be like creepy, but was kind of like, you goof.
And
like, go back to your mom.
Yeah, he was such a little tool. And every time he put out the switchblade, he'd point it at him a little bit, and then he'd just start cleaning his nails with it. And I was like, okay.
Okay, gross.
Is that, yeah, that's gross. That's not threatening.
And even Mr. Penroy didn't seem...
That's the thing, like,
get on my face.
Decrepit old man was 100% not afraid of
Yeah,
you.
no.
He's just like, keep your pants on, get the fuck out of my sight. Like, you have 2 days before I see you. Like, he was not, he was so, and even when other creepy dude, who, like, had such a distinctive face, too, the next creepy dude he ran into.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Morris. Like, again, the only person that ever called him Morris was someone that wanted to kill him.
Yeah. What ethnicity was he?
I feel like he's just like black Italian, like one of those, like, you know.
So he obviously stood out in Cabot Cove.
Yeah.
He's the one person of color. So obviously he was right?
Yeah. I mean, he's Italian, isn't that really? That's.
I mean, he was a shade or two darker. So
he was like tan.
To, like,
he was more tan than.
He had black hair. They all have white hair. They all have white hair.
Boy, they do.
There's
a lot of white hair.
Easy to tell. Or there's like a redhead with curly hair every once in a while.
Did we get it? I think this is like that first episode. Oh no, we had a curly-headed red. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Who was like, P.S. like my favorite intro of a character. Because she steps off the bus and then super old creepy man like hits on her so hard and so uncomfortably.
Right. And she just kills it. And she's like, go back to your wife.
That's the thing. He's like, hey, I'm new in town here, so you just got off the bus. I thought I'd recommend a good hotel. It's where I'm staying too. And she's like, then go back there, take a shower, call your wife. And it's like, thank you. Like, that was super creepy.
I loved it, though, that the bus in Cabot Cove just pulls onto, like, a dirt lot. And it's, like, a little old-timey. I'm like, oh.
That's the thing I love about the Cabot Cove scenes, because all that stuff, like the storefronts and all that, where that was filmed, and then later on, I'm trying to think what was the other scene, but, like, not the ones looking out on the ocean, but, like, all the other outside stuff, is all shot on the Universal lot. Like, when you go by and you see Jaws jump out of the water, that's Cabot Cove.
I think we need to do another field trip.
We absolutely need to do a field trip and go to Cabot Cove, aka Jaws.
Oh my god!
So they filmed all that, right? Yeah. So they filmed all those like exterior shots, like they just like replaced the signs and stuff, but it's just that little part of the Universal Studios tour. Yeah. That's Murder, She Wrote.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's great. Little local connection. It's not all in Maine. Mm-hmm. We still need to go to that bed and breakfast in Maine.
Northern California.
Oh, Northern, yes, even closer.
Where the picture from the house that is JB's house.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take like a week off. We're gonna go to Universal Studios. We're gonna take a road trip up to Northern California. Go stay in the Murder, She Wrote house.
And we do a live podcast from there.
Obviously.
So good, so good.
So you guys got to keep buying that merch if you want this to happen. Because we're getting like, if you buy a coffee cup, we get like a quarter. So we're really, sales need to pick up a little bit if this is going to happen.
Yeah, holidays will be coming up in 11 months. So
it's
plan
never
ahead.
too early.
Yeah.
It is absolutely never too early to start Christmas shopping.
Exactly.
Let's see. I just have a couple things in my notes. As we watch, we had a couple people on Twitter note how many nieces and nephews and stuff Jessica has. So as we're just starting off on this, we're going to start keeping a little family tree.
Okay,
so there's no relatives in this episode to worry about.
Well, because
thank God, because Grady wasn't there.
I fucking hate Grady, so that's
the only
I'm like,
relative we've met of her so far is Grady, and
can she handle anymore?
Him.
Like,
she has her hands full with that dunce. Yeah, I don't know.
She's still so sweet, even though he's so stupid, and that's why Jessica's better than all of us. She can handle stupid people.
She can absolutely, because she's related to him. Like, I don't know how she turned out as good as she did.
Probably because she's surrounded by all stupid people. She's the smartest person wherever she goes.
At all times. She's the smartest person.
That's why we can all relate.
This actually is the first Sheriff Metzger episode as well.
Yes, and they played it up.
You know what, you guys? controversial. I think I like Sheriff Metzger better than Sheriff Tupper. Love Sheriff Tupper. I don't want your hate mail. Keep your hate mail. Stop typing right now. We don't want it. But I'm just gonna say I'm digging Metzger.
Okay, I'm digging him as well.
We've seen 2 episodes. This is our second episode watching because we jumped ahead in season 5 last week. I think it was just last week.
Yeah.
So we're back in, but this is the first episode he was ever in.
I liked him in this episode better than the other one because I think they played up his newness, which I thought was really comical and
his
fun.
city slicker stuff, like it was, yeah, he was
in
great.
Like a red convertible, like taking a weekend off.
That was seriously, like no cop car to be seen.
No,
in this episode, he's driving around in a red convertible,
and they kept like city slicker. It was like perfect.
And when he pulled up on the bad guys with his deputy, he was in his red convertible, like no sirens, no nothing. He's in a goddamn like 1950s red convertible.
Yeah, and I mean we love Amos because he's the original derp.
The original OG derp.
OG derp, but there's something that I can appreciate about a cop who's actually trying. You know, who's kind of like, yeah, these women are guilty. And even, like, I just appreciate his aggression and everything
Exactly, because he didn't take it for, like, oh, no, they grew up here, so they're nice old ladies. Yeah. He was like, no, this doesn't smell right. And even, but he did show up, like, he's talking to the mayor, like, on, like, what, day 3, like, however long he's been there. Right. Or maybe they said it was a month. It was a month. Okay. And he runs into the mayor. He's taking his golf clubs out of the thing. He's like, oh, yeah, I just had Brimley or whatever the shop was. I just had Brimley put new grips on my golf clubs. I'm going to go get in 18 rounds tomorrow. And the mayor's like, isn't tomorrow a work day? And he's like, yeah. He's like, but yeah, my deputies can handle it. Like, what's... I literally wrote it down. He's like, lighten up, Mr. Mayor. A sleepy old town like this? What could happen?
Yeah, meta.
So, which is... probably like the greatest quote. Like that might be the quote of the episode.
And I think after that he said like you can reach me on my beeper if something happens.
He's like, yeah, if there's an emergency, I have my beeper.
I was like, okay.
1980 what?
Yeah, what? Okay. Takes me back. Yeah, so no, I really liked him and I thought the aggression and the drive to solve it.
This thing he was
not as frustrating as with OG Derp.
It was because there was like usually Jessica is the one who has to push people to kind of look into people's guilt, like maybe you should reconsider him. But Jessica was actually playing the opposite role where
which is
he was
unique for us.
Yeah, he was like hammering on these 2 women who like had bodies in their fucking thing and they had a murder weapon in their fireplace. He was like, you guys, you need to tell me what's going on. You're lying to me. You need to tell me the truth. And Jessica's like, whoa, like maybe lighten up a little bit. And it's like, no.
And like Jessica ended up being they actually didn't murder anyone.
This was again this is
like they were still criminals and
this is the weirdest conclusion ever because it is again this
really is.
This is appropriate to bring up that is those 2 sisters are very much not labeled, what is the word I'm looking for? Based on. There's a better word to use. Modeled after.
Yeah.
I think that's what
it's an homage to.
An homage, a very good word. It's an homage to Arsenic and Old Lace.
Correct.
Which I had never seen. I guess it was a play first, and then it was also turned into a movie, a very successful movie with Cary Grant.
Which was like, the movie was in 44, and then the play was in late 30s.
So I was like, you know what? I've never seen it. I've only ever heard good things. It's a classic film. It'll be it was the first Cary Grant movie I'd ever seen. So I was like, rented it on iTunes, gave it a watch. Like legit hilarious to this day. Holds up so well. Could not recommend it more.
When I first, because I haven't, seen the play or the movie, and I started watching it, at first I was like, are we really, like, it was almost too much, and then the episode went, like, 2 more minutes, and I just loved it. Because,
the way they did the 2 old women, the Apple Tree sisters, who in my head I kept calling the Apple Bottom sisters, and I was like, that's not quite right. So I really... Even in my notes, I'm pretty sure it says Apple Bottom Sisters more than once.
We could say, like, just Apple Sisters.
The Apple Sisters.
Interchangeably.
Yeah. So they were... don't worry, we'll get to my theory of how they're not sisters. They are lesbians.
Oh. I don't know if it's a theory.
It's not so much a theory as it is what they want you to think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Anyway, but they had, like... Because the 2 sisters, the Brewster sisters in Arsenic and Old Lace, are very much the same way where... They're like straight up murderers, though.
Well, okay, that's what I wish they had done with this episode. Like, that's my one thing about it.
Because it was like so much fun. When you first see them, they're like in the thing. She's like frosting the cake and they're doing the thing. And she's like, make yourself useful. Come and help me. I can't do this alone. And they go and they start dragging this body. And they're just both like super cheery and like sweet old ladies. And
yeah, and like, oh, we need to put the cloth on him. And then
when it's the only proper thing to do. Like having this thing like so sociopathic. Even if they didn't kill him, this is still super sociopathic.
Of course.
By the way.
And that's a lot of federal, like, that's crime right there. You can't dispose of a body even if you didn't.
Let us jump to the end of the episode.
Okay, yeah.
First of all, there's a fucking reward for the money that was this railroad robbery.
That plot got too.
It got real again.
Yeah, okay.
It got like, because they kept introducing stuff. I feel it was super complicated at first, but once they laid it out at the end, I thought like it all came together really well.
True.
But at first it was super confusing.
Yeah.
But so we get to the end of this thing, and we'll cover the beats. But for this, we need to talk about the Sheriff Metzger was pissed because they let the railroad company decided that the reward for finding the money should go to the Apple Tree sisters, and Sheriff Metzger was still nice enough not to prosecute them for cashing his check, so they live happily ever after. It's like, what about the laundry list of other crimes that these women have committed?
Hello. Jessica obviously was just like, like, because she loves everyone, but...
She was like, I've known them for years. They're nice ladies.
Well, it's like the one in season 1 where the guy was charged with bombing, like, a federal building. She's like,
yeah.
Well, you don't know. Like, I mean...
He's always been sweet to me, so he probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, so it's just
but, like, tampering with evidence, destroying evidence...
hiding bodies?
Disposing of bodies... What was... Like, obstruction of justice, like...
Yeah, there was like, obviously the fraud from signing over checks.
Fraud. And the thing, they were about to steal $5 million. Like, the only reason that they found, quote unquote, found the money is because good old Burt Clapper was about to bring down the hate on him. Like, that was also an intense scene, too, where he picked up the fireplace poker and he's like, guess we can't let that happen, ladies. And they, like, were... And it was like that great shot with like the highlight and like it was dark below. It was like very old style.
Yeah, it was
like they just nailed it and they were just like, oh no. And it's like, he's going to brain these two old ladies. This is going to be brutal.
And I can't wait, low key.
Yeah. Frankly, they had it coming. Like they kind of deserved it. They're monsters. They're sociopaths.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, clearly they're still sociopaths, but I thought it was way funnier, the lines in the beginning when we thought they were the murderers, because the stupid sister was like, he won't ever be coming back. And I was like, damn, like she killed him and she just is like throwing that out. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. They're like,
just...
when they're talking about the preacher, it's like, oh yeah, he went to the same place as Mr. Penroy. I was like,
killing
gorgeous.
It. Yeah, I was just, it was so comical and like dark, but
yeah.
amazing.
And then when they found the pitchfork in the fireplace, and they're at this station, and he's like, burned. Is like, we're going to try and find who this was. And she's like, the dumb sister's like, oh, you won't find any evidence. Helen wiped the fingerprints off.
Yeah.
It's like so many like, and like no one in the room was like, whoa, hey, hold up.
Yeah, Jessica kind of looks at them sideways for a sec. She's like,
And they just brush it off like, oh, those apple sisters.
Lesbians.
Those silly lesbians. Those confirmed bachelorettes. That's so quirky.
Fantastic. But yeah, so that was like, I guess I couldn't do a complete cop, but it was just, that part was slightly a letdown. The story made sense, but I wanted them to be darker.
I kind of did want them to be the killers, because there was the same way, this happened in Arsenic and Olay. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie. Because
Spoiler alert, 70 years?
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie from 72 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess stop the podcast. You guys literally should go watch it, though. It's amazing. I read it on iTunes. It was on Prime or something for a minute, but it's not there anymore, sadly. But anyway, so in that thing, the sisters are killing lonely old men. Like, they feel like, oh, we're doing a service. They're lonely. We're putting them out of their misery. We're poisoning them. They don't feel anything. We're helping them. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have anybody to go to. They're renting a room in our apartment, in our place. Like, they're sad. We need the rent money, but they're sad. Like, we're doing them a favor. And then we have a crazy son who thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt, so he's digging the Panama Canal in the basement. And so we just put the bodies in the basement of, a.k.a. the Panama Canal. And
Steven's loving your reference right now.
It's fantastic. Like, it's so bonkers, cuckoo, crazy. And they don't wrap it up either. At the end of the thing, like, Cary Grant's, like, whole thing. Again, and Cary Grant was so good. Like, again, this is my first Cary Grant movie. Like, he's, like, obviously, like, one of old Hollywood's biggest stars.
Right.
I don't have to sell him. I don't have to sell people, like, how, Cary Grant. Yeah. You should definitely go check this guy out. Like, I don't need to do that. He's
right, clearly.
well established. But he was fucking phenomenal in this. And his whole thing, the whole movie, is he's running around trying to get... He's like, poor Teddy, like this, my crazy brother. He's like, my crazy younger brother is stuck in a house, like, doing the dirty work for these crazy old women. He's like, I need to get him, like, I'm going to get him certified, get him in a nut house to get him away from them, and then I'll figure out what to do with them. So he spends the whole movie trying to get him put in the nut house. And the end of the movie is the two old women are like, we don't want to be separated from Teddy. We'll go live in the nut house with him. And that's the end of the movie. It's like, what? What?
That is fantastic.
It's so, like, it doesn't, but it's like, but you didn't really address how they've murdered a baker's dozen people.
Right, or you were trying to get him away from it.
That's the thing. Yeah, he's still living with these.
This is just like...
It is but like,
yeah.
For like 1944, like, this is a dark, dark comedy, and it's so... Oh, it's so good.
I need to check it out. I mean, this episode was already amazing, and I can't even imagine.
And they were, because they did the same thing in this one, where when they're talking to Jessica, telling him what happened. Oh, he died of a heart attack, and we didn't want to bother that new sheriff, so we just put him in the flower bed. Like, just so nonchalantly talking about burying bodies in the... And they did the same thing when he's like freaking... When he learns that they're murdering people, he's like freaking out, and they're like, oh, he wasn't acting himself. What do you think's gotten into him? And it's like, what is... You crazy, crazy people. It was so good. It was so good.
That's amazing. I'll have to check it out.
They weren't as lesbianic as this other couple.
Apple-Bottom Sisters.
The Apple-Bottom Sisters are full-on lesbians. The Brewster sisters, I do believe, are just spinster sisters. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
But I think this is just the modern 80s take on Arsenic Oblaze.
40 years later.
They made them lesbians.
Okay.
Because she did, when Morris proposed to her, she had such a visceral reaction to it.
I know. Like, oh my God. And they only wanted to rent to certified bachelors. No one who's going to try and get in their panties that night.
Basically, I feel like we're just going to certified bachelors, a.k.a. old gay dudes.
Exactly. Yeah, Morris could have for sure.
So they probably thought, like, you know, he's a fine dresser, confirmed bachelor. Like, who's this old and doesn't, like, marry somebody? So
he wears a little necklace.
He wears like a little necklace with a key. Like his life partner probably gave it to him before he passed away. It's sweet. We'll rent to him. It's fine.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and she freaked out so hard he had a heart attack.
She gave him a heart attack. She's like, keep your dick away from me, like, so much that he straight up died of a heart attack.
Lesbians.
Yeah. I knew it. Oh my God. I'm going to hell.
That's probably what he was thinking. But yeah, so they decided to bury him in their fucking garden.
Yeah, that's the thing. And again, their reasoning...
Oh, because they needed the money.
Because they were like, you know what? He doesn't need the money. We need the money. We don't want to bother the new sheriff.
Our gaydar's off, so clearly we can't rent to another dude.
Yeah, like, and they're like, he's not, quote, one of us, which was like a little culty and horror movie-ish a little bit. One of us. One of us. So, like, that was like... I know small towns are like that. Like, that is, I think, an accurate portrayal. Like, if someone from the outside, especially someone from the outside, gets a position of power, it's out.
Is that how it was in Butte?
Like, people are super suspicious. Like, if someone new moves in, especially if they're from the big city. Like, that's...
What's a big city?
Well, he's coming from New York.
No, I'm talking about, like, for Montana, though. Like, Butte.
In Montana, growing up in Montana, like, literally, like, people come from California and buy, like, vacation homes or, like, buy houses in the woods. Okay. And Montanans are so, like... Oh, what are they doing? They're coming, taking all of our stuff. It's like,
wow.
Like, they are legit. Like, they think Californians want to, like, invade Montana and take it over for themselves. It's like,
go to all the Applebee's and
exactly. It's like, you guys, like, they're like, celebrities are going to buy a house there. They're going to go skiing 2 weeks out of the year. The rest of the time, they're staying in LA. Yeah. Like, do not worry. Do not worry. You're fine.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, you're okay. You're totally okay. Don't worry about. California does not want to, like, invade Montana. We're fine.
We'll go skiing.
Guys, that's the thing. It's like, if they don't want to drive all the way up to Big Bear, they want to, like, get away from the crowds of California skiing, they go to Montana. Like, that's all it is. It's not... they're not like setting up shop. They're going to buy a nice house because they're relatives and because they're rich and super famous.
Right.
And a nice cabin in Montana costs like what a 2-bedroom walk-up costs in LA, like in Koreatown.
Oh,
so,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm moving to Montana.
Yeah. No air conditioning, like whatever, like same price. So it's,
okay.
Look at real estate prices in Montana versus LA. Like they're giving it away. So
Montana, you can blame yourself.
No one to blame but yourself. So I just think the portrayal of how they view, the big city slicker coming in was accurate overall.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Let's see. Literally, like, I've checked off like one note on this list. Like, there's so much to talk about in this episode.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
Oh my god. My first note, I just want the mayor is walking around at people, telling them they're not registered, which is that a thing? Can you?
No.
I feel like you don't you can't look up who someone voted for. You can't look up you can't have politicians like knocking on doors being like, hey, you need to go register and vote. That's not cool.
No, or they could blindly call, but they'd be like, are you registered to vote? They don't know.
I guess then they have the roles of people who are registered, so maybe like
and
it's such a small town.
To vote, would you be like Mr.
Peabody?
No, but you'd be like, oh, hey, like small town, call people by their first name. Like, hey, have you gone out and vote?
The thing, I guess he would see the roles because like you can get the registry roles like if you're doing like calls. Because I interned for a political party when I first moved to LA, and you had the roles of people who were registered to vote, and you would call them like, "Hey, make sure you vote for so and so this year. Who are you voting for? Make sure you vote the right way." So maybe it's such a small town that if you don't see their name on the list, he's just going to go like, "Oh, I saw you want register to vote. Make sure you register and vote."
God, that accent's perfect.
I don't get it's not getting old. I'm having fun doing it.
No, it's perfect. But the mayor had the best character. I mean, the dog.
Winston. Literally, one of my notes is just I drew a heart.
I was wondering what that heart was for.
Heart Winston. That was my note. I literally drew a heart and then wrote Winston's name next to it because love.
Yeah.
Adore.
Love. Like, I'm a bulldog fan, but like that, it was just like the dog was a character.
So cute. Like. Even when we first meet the mayor, he's like, "Come along, Winston!" Like just walking, the little chubby, like his just little pudgy little thing walking. Oh, it's so goddamn cute.
And then before he solves the crime, basically, he's like, you see a little butt shaking, running around, like pawing, and then stopping. Like, got it, guys.
Yeah, the Applebottom sisters full on would have got away with this crime if it was not for Winston. Winston was the Jessica of this episode. Let's say it like it is. Like
Winston. Yeah, 100%.
This is Winston's episode. Winston shined bright in this episode.
I was just like loving those.
And
moments.
when they were chasing, the little butt shots when he's just like waddling away.
And he just was like, "Fuck you, mayor. I'm gonna go solve a crime."
And that dog did waddle. Like that's the only dog I've ever seen waddle.
No. Bulldogs have that stance and they have that little shaky butt. I mean, I don't stare at those butts often, but I know how they move. Now you
know. Jessica is a wrapping paper expert. Like I was she is full on holding a conversation with Seth and just like not looking, like her arms are like doing things. She's ripping off tape. She's cutting. And it's just like, she picks it up, and it's the perfectly wrapped gift.
And it doesn't even seem out of place. You're like, Jessica would know how to do that.
It was amazing. And I do like that she was criticizing Seth's...
hand-me-down gift? Fuck you,
from
Seth.
Fucking Amos.
You're a fucking doctor. Pretty sure you can afford that. You have a coastal property, but... Okay, I'll give a bow tie. Okay.
And I do like that Jessica was, like, multiple times was like, "You're not going to give that tie to Morris Penroy," as if he's like some pinnacle of style that would never.
Right, exactly.
I was like, Jessica, he's like 30 years older than you are. I don't think he.
No, but speaking of fashion, Jessica, I mean, she was killing it the entire time. But I loved her jeans. We haven't seen Jessica in jeans, but I like the little sweater with the collar popping out. Always love it when she does that.
Oh, she pops the collar so well. I loved when they went to the party and she was wearing that springy.
Yes.
That was gorge.
It was amazing.
I love that.
She went from casual to
she was
backyard chic.
Oh, she was like backyard barbecue, like real Housewives.
Real Housewives barbecue, where everyone else showed up and they're like, "Oh fuck, I'm underdressed."
Because like Jessica could have showed up to the underdressed one or the properly dressed one. She would fit in at either one. She like
That's
picked
how good she is.
like the episode or the outfit was perfect. She could like it was casual enough that she could like still be light and fun, but it was like dressy and nice enough that she would still fit in at like a fancy Real Housewives Beverly Hills
And she
party.
was dressing her age. Like, it seemed completely fitting. It wasn't like
No.
some women on Real Housewives or anything
Oh,
where
God,
they're like,
no.
why are you wearing your daughter's thing? It's like, Jessica, you look fucking fabulous.
She like that thing, like she's like owning her age. She still looks fantastic.
Inspiration.
Just amazing. Let's see. I will say I do one criticism of Jessica. You really gonna give a gift that's your own book, Jessica? Is that really? Is that a little tacky, isn't it?
Right.
She probably signed it too. Like you've known this dude for a year. You don't have like boxes of these fucking books. And P.S. It was her first book, so it's like. She's probably, how many has she written since then? It's not in the new book. It's the first book that this guy...
Maybe it's hard to find now because there's no eBay, there's no internet really.
Maybe it's like, oh, the first edition of Jessica Fletcher's first book is now worth... So she's basically like, you sit on this for like 3 more years and like you'll
be good.
You can go to a used bookshop and sell this thing for like $500. I'm just...
Well, good thing he died and never got the present. So
That's
like her name would never be bad. You know what I mean?
That's true. Like he doesn't know. P.S. I did like the dumb sister. She's like... would it be uncool if I unwrap the presents? It's like, again, straight up sociopath.
I loved it. And I love that they baked his favorite dessert, too. That was so dark.
That was... P.S. Like, who ices just the top of a cake?
Thank you. I was
that
watching that. I was
drove
like...
me crazy. Because when they're, like, she was icing it the night before. And
was
they're
it
like,
a bun cake?
Yeah, it was... I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, come help me. And I was like, okay, she's definitely going to finish icing that cake, though, right? Like, that's... Just
and
the top of it
you
is
could
weird.
tell she was like kind of like making it crummy.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't like dipping, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know
totally.
the frosting technique.
Exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so
and then
like,
when I saw it
look good.
Yeah, and when I saw it on the table with just the top of it iced,
yeah.
I was so distracted. I
turned it off.
I immediately turned it off. I wrote Netflix right away. You have to take this episode down.
Oh God.
It was legit.
They needed the Jessica Fletcher cookbook.
Exactly. But I was legitimately distracted.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You can't ice half a cake.
And the cake looked dry, to be honest. Like,
exactly.
I know
You can't, like,
cake,
especially a bun cake. Like, it's just dry.
And we know they know how to make cakes because we saw Jessica and Doctor.
Because even he
got to make amazing cake that one time.
And he comes in, he's like, oh, I love, like, dipping my face in your cider, whatever weird, oddly sexual thing he said about her cider. And he's like, and to get, and to taste a angel food cake. He said it real funny.
That's how he talks.
And I was like, but that cake looks dry. It looks gross. You need all the frosting in the world on it. Anyway,
only a sociopath would only frost the top of a cupcake.
And one more criticism of JB.
I'm kind of nervous. Okay, keep going.
When super annoying mailman comes in, Clyde.
But I really like the ongoing joke of him constantly reading everyone's mail.
It was like, he's like, electric bill, second notice. And it's like, oh, like literally a backyard full of people. Like, keep your voice down.
And then
like,
he invites himself in.
And he invites himself to have some of the stuff. But he's having that exchange with Jessica, and she's like, oh, thank you for covering that postage due for me. And she's like, how much was it? And he's like, 3 cents. And she's like, I only have a nickel because who carries pennies around? It's,
right.
Even in the 80s, I feel like that wasn't a thing. I feel like that wasn't a thing in the 80s. It's not a thing now. No one carries pennies. And she's like, all I have is a nickel. And he's like, I'll leave you 2 cents and a receipt in your mailbox. And instead of JB being like, keep the change, she's like, that sounds lovely. And it's like, okay, how cheap. Like, I understand, I guess, like, you lived through the Depression in the show.
Yeah.
She's old enough to have lived through the Depression. But come on.
I also think...
2 cents, Jessica?
Or if you could take it, I know they didn't mean it this way, but if it was passive-aggressive, like this dum-dum, like, I'll leave you 2 cents and a receipt. And she's like, perfect.
So it's like, more trouble for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
Yeah, fine.
Maybe that's what it was. Because it was just
I don't think it actually was, but...
Because I was like...
Because I love Jessica so much.
Give her the benefit. Give her the benefit
it's like she's just being a cool bitch.
Let's see. I do like... They use the word spinster a lot, which I feel like, is that PC? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because Jessica's like, oh, the Apple Tree sisters, they wrote the book on spinsterhood. It's like, oh, that's like
Is that
kind of a shot.
Is it a bad? I mean, I'm just gonna Google. Should I Google spinster bad word?
Yeah, is spinster a bad word? Google will tell us.
Spinster definition, because it's just like an unmarried woman, typically older. What's a better word? Lesbian. I mean,
how about unmarried woman?
Yeah.
Like old maid, spinster. I just feel like these are things you don't say.
I'm sorry. It says spinster, noun, derogatory.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Derogatory. Of course it is.
A story of two. Okay, that's cool.
Let's see. We've covered, I'm going through my notes, like golfing on a work day. We covered that.
Yeah.
I do like how he went to bother Jessica because he couldn't understand Amos's handwriting for the Founders Day Festival or whatever.
Oh, Amos.
Oh, and then Metzger made a joke. He's like, yeah, in a quiet little town like this, I feel like I'm stealing the money. And I was like, I wouldn't tell people you're stealing the money. Like, again,
you don't tell your boss that you're overpaid.
Yeah.
You just go with it.
You've been here for a month, dude. Like,
calm down.
It's kind of like, how about don't golf when you should be at work? And don't tell people you're stealing the money. Like, 6 months. Give it 6 months before you start doing that shit.
Your probation period.
Yeah, come on. I did think the pitchfork to the chest when we saw the Reverend, I thought that was brutal.
Yeah, and I also like that he was still in his fake Reverend costume.
He didn't I'm just gonna put on like a t-shirt to break into this house.
Right.
I'm gonna keep on my collar.
Uniform. Yeah.
Reverend Smythe.
And even that when they heard the noise upstairs, like instead of like freaking out, they're like, should we call someone?
Again, like these women don't live in the real world. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Couldn't get them, but they're like, even the dumpster's like, sound like Mr. Penroy's having a restless night or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, damn, bitch.
And
he's still in the ground.
Like literally, like the worms haven't even started on him yet. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
So, and then they just go up there like, hey, we'll call the cops. You better leave. And it's like, definitely call
It made no sense.
Again, they just they didn't want the new sheriff snooping around, so they're not going to call the cops. But someone is full on in your house snooping around and like making no bones about it, which means they're super dangerous. Yeah. Like, I don't care if anyone knows I'm here. I don't give a fuck.
I also loved when they pan out and you see it's like a 3-story ladder. I'm like, how did he get that there? Where was he carrying it?
That's the thing. It's like no one, like in a tiny town like this, like there's a reverend at 2 a.m. like walking down the street with like a 40-foot ladder. Maybe send somebody to check this out.
I was looking when they're panning down. I was like, is there anywhere it's collapsible? No,
that's just a giant
ladder. Okay.
Just a giant ladder before they had those collapsible aluminum ladders. They didn't have those in the 80s, I guess.
Oh, God. It was great.
Just had to cut down a giant tree to make a ladder. That's how it worked back then.
And the women aren't fazed by death. They
That's
just
the thing.
see the
They're
guy
just
and they're like, guess we're going to cover this up.
Like, I hope I'm that easygoing when I'm that age, because they just, like, they weren't fazed by anything.
I hope I am too, honestly.
It was fantastic. Like, they were, again, I just couldn't get enough of them. Full-on lesbians, though. Like, they were totally, they got, like, they had some, like, lesbian vegan ceremony or whatever. I don't know why vegan. Like, back in the 40s. And so they got, like, and they just, like, took, like, probably like, the one with like the darker hair, she's definitely like the alpha in that relationship.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure. So her real last name is probably Appletree, and the other one just took her last name, and then they're just like telling everybody they're sisters, and they probably have to like bounce around from town to town every once in a while once people kind of get hip to it.
Right. There's only a 2-bedroom.
Yeah. Anyway,
that was still illegal back then, right?
Like no one's like they were in danger for their lives. Like Jessica wasn't going to do anything about it, but like I feel like Amos might have been like, well, we don't want those people living in this town.
Exactly.
I'm just like, again, sorry, Amos. No,
it's Amos.
I mean, he's
typical
from Kentucky, so he's like ancient and from Kentucky. So the odds that he's cool with lesbians.
Exactly. It's like when that guy from the Swamp Show, Duck Dynasty. And it's like, okay, this 80-year-old who grew up in a swamp and has a beard down to his ankles is against gays. Yeah, shocker. Fucking shocker. Hello, he wears camo all day, all year round.
Yeah, send out a press release when someone that looks like that is like, it's like, oh no, totally. Like, yeah, I donated money to the No on Prop A campaign. Yeah, totally.
Like I'm voting for Clinton. And the text are like, oh, exactly, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I went to a Clinton rally the other day. I donate $10 a month. Yeah, I love. Send me give me the press release when that happens.
Right, I would love that.
Speaking of the gays, the drag queen bank teller. Did you what that?
I turned to Steven and I was like, her head's really big, and I was like, oh no, she's
her everything is big.
Yeah, she's a linebacker.
She is a sturdy woman.
Yeah, she was.
She's a sturdy dame.
You could not knock her down.
She was like, that's the thing. I feel like Jessica, like if Jessica ever needed a sidekick. Like this woman following Jessica around, and if someone tried to run away, she just does that thing where she picks them up by the back of the shirt with one hand and just holds them there while they're running in air.
Yeah,
and
like Andre the Giant.
Yeah, and she's just effortlessly holding them.
Yeah.
And waiting for Jessica to tell her what to do.
And she's obviously smart enough. Like she has a job at a bank. A woman in those days. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, she's sweet. Like that's the thing that she's like. The gentleman caller's not knocking down her door, so she's got some spare time. Yeah. So she's gonna help Jessica solve some murders.
Is it too late for a spinoff?
I think we just wrote season 13 of Murder, She Wrote.
Okay.
So, okay. Come on back, Angela Lansbury. We just got to find this actress.
Oh, God. I need to IMDb this woman.
You know what? We need to see what else she's been in and watch all of it. I
hope she comes back in this show just as like a different character.
They do that all because even Sheriff Metzger was in a couple previous episodes, not as Sheriff Metzger. So the way they recycle actors is phenomenal.
They're dying off. They only have so many 70-year-olds.
Speaking of Sheriff Metzger, like when he was in the car with JB, I don't know what it was about the angles and everything. Like I was getting so much John Wayne. Like he looks so much like a.
I can see that
chubbier John Wayne.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna put something up on our Twitter, at Murder We Spoke,
as well
with a side by side because I'm not wrong.
No.
Like I think he looks so much like John Wayne. Like the way he talks and everything just like kills any John Wayne.
Oh yeah, but when he
zips it, yeah, looks like John Wayne. He looks like, especially when they're in that super old car, they have the
convertible with the screen in the back that's moving.
with that moving screen, like that old style, like so when it looks like they're in a movie from the 50s, and then he's sitting in the car, it's like that could be John Wayne.
Exactly.
That could be John Wayne. Let's see. Oh, and then he said, when he was going through their books, he found their ledger on the table. And he was going through it, and he's like, oh, they're paying their bills with mirrors. I still don't know what that means, but I love it.
Yeah, is it...
I don't quite understand, like, you're holding your bill up to a mirror. I don't know what it means. It just means, like, it's an illusion. Is it like smoke and
mirrors? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an illusion, but I just, like... I mean, I don't want to be in debt, but if I am, I'm going to tell everybody that I'm paying my bills with mirrors.
That's fantastic. And I also liked in that scene, she was mentioning the whole, they cashed his check, whatever. He's like, oh, great, I'm going to follow up on that lead. Not like Amos,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm sure they had a good reason for, like fucking derp.
Exactly. Like, yeah, he followed leads and was like, and interviewed suspects. Like,
And took Jessica's opinion seriously.
He did, like, yeah, he wasn't, like, rude or anything about it. Like, he was... Like he had I'm liking Sheriff Metzger quite a bit. Someone who's not though is Seth, who was being a huge dick, like
the entire time.
Again, I feel like anybody that even slightly will like take his time away from being with Jessica.
I know, it's like, can you ask her out already? I know she'll say no. We all know that, but can you just get it over with because it's awkward.
Like, yeah, you're so. You are so like in love with her. But I don't know. Maybe
and his hair was like super, super boxy and spiky this episode.
Yeah, I like the other. I don't like the boxy hair. Yeah. I think we might be, like from season 5 on, that might just be how he does his hair.
Right, which is, I mean, kind of fitting for him for this episode.
It is, like, because he's very, like, militaristically dickheadish. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah. But the sheriff is just like, need the medical report, need you, like, hey, you're the town doctor. Like, help me. And he was the coroner in another episode. Like, in season 2 we watched, he was straight up the coroner, too. So I don't know why.
Remember they pulled the bone out of the box?
Yeah, exactly. He was the town doctor and the town coroner. Because it's such a tiny town, so...
And then he's like, the coroner... Yeah, because Stephen was watching it, and it was his first episode, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's the doctor and the coroner. And then later in the episode...
He's like, I'm just waiting for the coroner's report. It's like, whoa,
I was like,
hold up.
Okay, fuck me. Sorry. I didn't
realize.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why is he being such a dick? He's also the coroner. Like, give some of your expertise on it to help solve the murder.
Exactly.
Don't be so fucking petty and bitter, you dick.
Yeah, and like they kind of made the cop a little derpy when he was like, just give me a clue. Like, come on. Like, I'm just trying to work with something. I'm trying to solve this. Like, like the longer the time passes, the harder it is to solve. Like, come on, we need
that's the
some
thing.
preliminary results, please.
I do love that. Like Seth had only looked at the body, and he was like, "You're a doctor, ain't you? What killed him?" It's like he's like, "I don't see any signs."
And he's like, "Poison? Poison? Maybe poison?"
I feel like that was a little nod to arsenic and Old Lace.
Yeah, true. I also liked their typical handling of evidence that they do in this show, but when they find the key around the neck, they're like, hey, toss us in evidence and chuck it across the backyard, what's the point of an evidence bag?
That's the thing, like someone else had it in their hands, gave it to the sheriff, and he's like, hey, throwing it over to Floyd.
Why don't they just put it around their neck and keep it until they find what it
That's
goes
the thing, why don't
with?
you just lick it a couple times?
Yeah.
And then, seriously, the way they handle evidence is hilarious. We haven't even touched on Bart Clapper, Railroad PI.
Oh, yes.
Because he had such a great line. I might have spoken too quickly when I said Sheriff Metzger had it, because he came in and told him, like, oh, I'm with the railroad. Here's what, like, he really unraveled everything. He's like, here's the people involved. So those people that we met at the beginning that we haven't seen since and we don't know what's going on, he finally shows the pictures, like, here's how they're involved in this story. And we're like, thank you, Bart Clapper.
And even the woman who said she was Mr. Penroy's wife.
Because she was, like, so out of nowhere. Like, she came in and was talking about being Penroy's wife. That was great.
And then, do you write down the line where he's like, oh, that blonde bimbo who looks like he just, like, totally called her out.
Yeah.
And
she's not blonde, first of all.
Right, but he said so. He's like, that bimbo who looks like, I think made a comment about her lips or something. And then went on to say, like, oh, no, she's actually so-and-so's wife. But I was like, damn, like, he called her out.
He does not mince words. This guy does not mince words.
No.
But once he gave out the whole thing, they're like, oh, wow, you've really... Because it's a year later, and he's still on this case. And they're like, oh, man, you're really, like, devoted or whatever. And he says, Bart Clapper never gives up on a railroad robbery. Again, this episode is set in 1986, not 1886. Who's robbing a rail car? Like, are they on horseback?
I don't know.
Like, with scarves around their things, like, shooting their guns in the air? Like, what is going on? Who is transporting $5 million, like, on a train?
Can you see that being an episode of Murder, She Wrote, that Jessica's on the train and out the window is like, bow, bow, and then they stop the train and she solves it on there?
Yes, please. Absolutely. Is there an episode of Murder, She Wrote on a train? Because I want to watch that today.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, recommend some episodes on a train, because now that's all I can think about is JB in a dining car, like,
exactly,
like ducking in, like, almost some Scooby-Doo shit where she has to hide as the murder runs up the skinny little... okay.
If only.
That has to happen. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah, my almost to the end of my notes, I just have the old lesbians got away with fraud. Obstruction of justice, all this, like, they got away with pretty much everything. And then when I did like Sheriff Metzger's line also, again, I wrote so many quotes down.
Oh, no, the quotes are the best, because I was watching it and I was like, I hope Ben's taking notes, because
But when he pulls up on the guy, like, again, that asshole with the round sunglasses and the denim vest is cleaning his thing. Like, he's talking to the guy who is the muscle.
Yeah.
Like, as they're going through everybody's thing, like, he's the muscle. But this guy is, like, so scared and afraid of this little, like, stir straw of a man.
Right.
And that's when Sheriff Metzger pulls up and he's, pulls the gun on him in his drop-top convertible.
Right.
And then the guy, like, kind of holds his knife, like, moves his knife a little bit, and Sheriff Metzger gives him a, easy, son, or I'll cut you a new belly button.
Yes!
Oh, that was a good line.
I love that.
I'll cut you a new belly button.
That's dark for Murder, She Wrote.
He straight up will shoot you.
Yeah.
He absolutely will. I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, I also like in the basement, the sheriff, how he was holding the gun. It's like, come on, like, kind of like just doesn't care if it goes off. Just get over here.
It's like using it to direct traffic. Let's see. That's my last note there. I have a couple more quotes. Just when Jessica said, "Excuse me, Sheriff, I wouldn't dream of interfering, but..." just that. Whatever else she said is, "I wouldn't dream of interfering."
Never.
Heaven forbid. Paying the bills with mirrors. I wrote that down twice because I really like that line. And there's no fingerprints. Helen wore gloves. I wrote that down twice too. Okay.
That's
I wrote down the quotes. This was a quote heavy episode. It was really good. Let's see what else happened because they got to just her and Seth playing chess at the end of the episode. I do like how they each had only 2 pieces on the board to kind of show you their intellectual equals or whatever.
Yeah, he said something at the end of the episode that just kind of...
Yeah, because he was straight up. He said something about someone's intellect. And she thought he was saying "Oh no, the Appletree sisters aren't that dumb." And he's like, "I was talking about Sheriff Metzger." It's
really compared to the fucking...
yeah, you're gonna... why are you gonna cut him down right now? What is...
Yeah, you just met him.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he was in a convertible with Jess, but
Yeah,
come
down.
on.
Yeah, so it's he cut him down and that was the nice little end of the episode.
And she's just typical Jess eye roll.
Let's see. A couple little things worth noting. We talked about the similarities to arsenic and old lace. They said Sheriff Tupper went home to Kentucky, but the internet pointed out that there's an inconsistency because he kept having a Maine accent in there as if he lived in Maine because he was almost as bad as the mayor in his forced Maine accent.
Yeah, which makes him sound stupid.
It does. Just the way he did it.
Unintelligent, yeah.
Because, the mayor sounded super stupid. Yeah. Floyd sounds ridiculously stupid. Dr. Seth, is putting on a Maine accent, but he's not trying nearly as hard, and it works. It's fine. It's not distracting.
And, yeah. And he retired, they said, or he went to do something?
Yeah, he retired and went home to Kentucky.
Got it. Well, maybe it's like the Madonna thing where you spend a little bit of time somewhere and you pick up the accent.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Who knows? But don't worry, guys. We will be watching. The reason he left the show was to go star in the Father Dowling mysteries.
Which, do you want to give a little synopsis of the show again?
Do I have exactly what it was? I don't think I do. But it's a priest from Chicago solves crimes with the help of a worldly nun.
Yeah, fucking amazing. I mean, I felt sad that he's off the show, but then when I remember, he got a fucking spin-off. And there's 3 seasons of it, and he's a priest, killing it. Yeah,
season 2 on DVD just arrived here this week. We will definitely be doing a bonus episode where we cover. We're gonna pick one of the episodes on there, and we're gonna watch. We're trying to figure out which one's the best one, and we're gonna watch an episode of the Father Dowling mystery. So we'll definitely keep you guys abreast.
Excited.
I can't wait to see it. I am super excited. Let's see, what else do we have? Just a couple things. The guy that played Bart Clapper. He was in a shit ton of good movies. He was in Back to the Future. He was in Ed Wood, which is one of my favorites. And he was in They Live, which we covered on the Pretty Little Podcasters. Since the Mrs. Grundle was in there. So that was good. And then Mr. Penroy himself played Mr. Hinkle, the boss from 9 to 5. One of my favorite movies as a child. Dolly Parton, Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda.
I know all those people... I know living life 9 to 5, but that's about it.
It's a movie about these 3 women who essentially kidnap their boss and run the office. He's a sexist, misogynist. Yes. So they straight up kidnap him and then run the office in his absence and obviously do it way better. And
okay, cool. That's
it's
perfect.
Super fun and it's.
You need to give me a list of all the movies I need to watch. I'll start with Boogie Nights. Sorry.
So I haven't gotten to Boogie Nights? Oh,
yeah,
boy.
Sorry.
Okay, then you got to get to Arsenic.
Too much
Arsenic
Vanderpump.
Yeah. We'll get that. Okay, that's all there. So we're just going to close out the episode as we like to do with a little game.
Yeah.
All right, Steven, come on over. We're going to bring in Steven.
He's allowed to leave the dungeon.
Just so this is compared, we like to have a little competition. It makes it more interesting when there's stakes because we played a game on our other podcast. Spoiler alert, Marissa won that one, so
yeah, but
we'll see if it's time for redemption.
Both of these games are sufficiently difficult, though, because
I hope so.
They really are.
Okay, In this game, what I'm going to do is give you a title, not a title. I'm going to give you a synopsis of a Murder, She Wrote episode, and then I'm going to give you 3 titles, and you have to tell me which title is the real title for the episode.
Okay.
And if someone has a good name for this game, because I just call it the name game, but that's boring and dumb. So if anybody has a name for this game, I'm all ears. Okay. Jessica gets involved when her niece Victoria is believed to be connected to a murder of her lecherous boss. Is this episode entitled Tossed Salad and Scrambled Alibis, Tomato Sandwich, Hold the Lies, or Corned Beef and Carnage?
I'm going with the middle one.
I was gonna.
B.
Marissa?
I'm gonna go with A.
It is C.
Oh.
I thought that was just too heavy for murder.
Right. Okay.
Corned beef and carnage.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
That's
that's a
what I
little.
thought.
It's a little.
Like, yeah, I don't know if
Especially
there's going to be
they don't show
carnage.
They don't show real blood on the show, so I don't know.
Yeah,
or
Angela
any blood.
Lansbury will not have gory
Teacher
scenes on
killed
her
herself
show.
one time.
Oh God.
Okay, guys, that was a wash. Good. It makes me feel proud when I just take that as a compliment. I take that as a compliment.
You should.
Okay, the next synopsis. In a friend's apartment, Jessica and her friends are amused and then puzzled by the strange drama unfolding on TV. Is this episode entitled Network Broadcast Murder, Must See Murder, or The Murder Channel?
A.
B.
It is C.
Okay,
Once again,
Okay.
I thought you made that one up because I was like, oh, the Murder Channel, TMC. That's an active channel on television.
I was thinking NB instead of NBC, NBM, because I know they had. I don't know what the network dramas were. I know they had a problem with Friends earlier. I was like, oh, is
That's
that
the
a
thing.
dig?
I was like, yeah, that's what I thought
Fuck.
that is literally exactly what I was going for. I'm winning so far. This is great.
Okay, 2-0.
Okay. All right, the next one. In New York, Jessica's publisher, Edward Graham, seems to be cracking up following the death of his wife. But was a fall from the top of the building suicide or murder? Is this episode entitled Murder on the 30th Floor, Death's Long Tumble, or Murder by Suicide?
A.
Death Long Tumble. Go with B.
It is A.
Yes!
Oh, finally.
Yes!
Marissa pulls out ahead. Okay,
And the rest of the body.
let's see. We have two more. There's only 2 more. So we're only doing best of 5 here.
Okay.
During Jessica's trip to Amish country, her escort is accused of murder. I don't know why we haven't watched this.
I know. I was like, Amish? What?
P.S. That sounds amazing. Okay. During Jessica's trip to Amish country, her escort is accused of murder. Is this called Milky White, Blood Red, Murder, Plain and Simple, or The Horse and Buggy Murderer?
B.
A.
B.
Yeah, the one time you don't pick B.
Murder, Plain and Simple. Okay.
But that Milky, that was good.
Last one. Still can get one right. I can't win, but you can still get one right. Sorry. She's played this game before. She just has incumbent advantage. That's all.
I don't know what the advantage is.
There's no advantage.
It's a really difficult game.
There's no advantage in this game. Okay, last one. Voodoo black magic is the apparent cause of death of her host, leaving Jessica to figure out the truth while visiting an old friend in Jamaica.
That is a lie, because that is the plot of a Steven Seagal movie, which I have seen multiple times.
That's amazing. So you might have a one-up on this one.
Okay, is this episode called Black Widow's Kiss, Night of the Tarantula, or Spell of the Spider?
Spell of the Spider. I'm going with C.
No, it is Night of the Tarantula. It is B.
These names, it's always the one you least expect.
And speaking of Night of the Tarantula, that is the next episode we'll be covering.
Oh, yes.
So we're going with Jessica to Jamaica.
Yeah, man.
There's black magic and voodoo abound. It's gonna be great.
Does she get her hair braided? With little beads at the
Yes. Obviously she does, and if she doesn't, then I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, God.
This episode was recommended by @CashRhymes, or next week's episode @CashRhymes and @Rachel Papadow.
Whoa.
on Twitter.
Those are some great names.
Those are some great names. Let's see. Again, guys, leave us a good review on the iTunes. Send us your recommendations. murderwespoke@gmail.com, @murderwespoke on Twitter. And if you have any questions, comments, queries, blah, 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 let us know.
Buy our cool shit.
If you just, buy our cool shit. And if you just want to chat murder she wrote, that's all we want to do.
Yeah, we're here.
All right, guys. Other than that, we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.